C-Doc again.
Yes, y'all. It is Tuesday night, and we are back. Shout out to everybody watching this on the live. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Going to be an interesting show tonight. Smaller, low-key show tonight. Shout out to Flatline, who's off doing other things, and Jennifer O'Jenny, who is taking the night off herself. But I will not be alone. I am joined by one of the hosts and creators of People's Distinctive Travels, which is a great podcast in its own right. Hopefully coming soon to Channel Zero. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll find out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Ultrabag 7.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
What's up, sir? How are you?
I'm good. My man Flatline's not here. I can't beat up on him. You know, and my girl Jennifer's not here.
I know, to keep tabs.
Yeah.
On the beating up. Yes.
Yeah, you know how it is. So I guess we win by default.
I guess so. Yeah.
What's up, Mara? What's happening? That Mara's our A&R.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she does a great job of it. Oh, look at that. Head snack in the house. Speaking of head snack.
So, I've been listening to Head Snack's new album. And I would encourage everybody out there, go listen to Head Snack's album. And there's a little Channel Zero presence. We have, I don't know, whatever way we go.
Oh, yeah.
My man C-Doc is on a track that I'm really into. Hip-hop poppycock. And
that was a fun record.
I really felt that record. I like that song. And Chuck D's on track with Head Snack.
Yep.
I won't get into what the album is about. You can go check it out. If I talk about it, we might get banned off of YouTube. But definitely check it out. My man Head Snack, he brought it. And thank you for putting me down with Head Snack, and peace to the whole Block Sonic label group. And you can actually check out an old episode. We had them on. So
yeah, we had them on. Yep.
Go
back. I forget which episode it is.
Yeah.
But it's not that far back in the lineup.
Nah.
But yeah, a lot of great music there. It's all free downloads.
Mm-hmm.
And Head Snack. It's streaming as well. So
right.
Check it out wherever you get your good music from. So yes, Mac Worst, Dale D, back to the lab. What's up, everybody?
Back to the lab. Well. What's up, Mac Worst?
Yeah. So, well, our guest tonight is here, sort of here. He was there. Oh, he's coming back. All right, he's getting ready. We're gonna take a second to get ready. Let him get ready. I guess he's good to go now. Yeah, man. You want to talk about an OG? This guy has been there since the beginning, and no doubt in my mind that he had a small hand in some of your favorite records.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, we're going to talk about it and talk about what he's got going on, because he's doing some stuff that I didn't even really know about until today, until I did research. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the legendary Breakbeat Lou.
Yes, sir.
Lou, you are muted, Lou. We cannot hear you.
1 2 1 2 check.
Yeah,
check.
There we go. Fantastic.
What's going on, fellas?
How are you, sir?
I'm good here in the lab. I'm always working somehow, some way. So, again, I'm trying to get some stuff finished because we're going back on tour next month, and then I have a gig tomorrow in not tomorrow, but on Thursday I got a gig in Miami, so I'm just setting up for that. So just staying busy, man.
That's
Good.
great. Fantastic. Um, I want to start off by asking you about that I just recently found out about, thanks to you, a documentary that you are working on.
Yeah, I've been doing this for the last 5 to 6 years, give and take. Again, unbeknownst to me, I didn't, not to sound like pompous or anything, but I had no idea how much impact we actually really had into the culture. In the sense, again, I'm being a part of the culture and being embedded in it since the beginning. It's hard for me to realize that we had impacted as many people as we had. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that I heard in research and everything, that there is no bigger sonic DNA in music than what UBB did. Sonic footprint. There's nothing bigger. So just realizing all of those dynamics and everything that we always wanted to accomplish, and realize what we were doing. I didn't know that the impact was going to be that grandeur, in the sense. I had no idea that it was going to go from as simple, and that's not simple, but as hip hop orientated as, let's say, Run DMC, Boogie Down Productions, all the way to David Bowie, Prince, Madonna, Janet Jackson, everybody in between. So, this led me to really drill down the importance of what we put together, and also what we end up impacting. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the biggest things that made me change the dynamic of how I saw things was that CNN, they had this series on the YouTube and onto the channel called Great Big Stories.
Okay, I found this on the web for the series on.
I'm
Check
sorry.
it out.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
No, that's all right. Series on
Serious
kids.
listening.
So what ended up happening was that within the producers' research about the Amen Brother break, all avenues kept pointing to us.
Wow.
So again, from who they will go to script, how do you find this? Well, how do you hear this? I heard this, or I heard this way, and then we'll go to the point again. How do you hear it? Through UBB, or through the Octopus Breakers, which we did both. So we had no idea that it had impacted that depth, and had impacted that many non hip hop entities. You know what I'm saying? So it just took it to a whole different dynamic for us.
So, because and by UBB, for those that don't know, and everyone watching probably should know, but we're talking about the Ultimate Breaks and Beats series.
Correct.
And how did that start? How did the idea start that you were going to make a break record or a series of break records?
Well, the concept started, it was, believe it or not, we were doing bootleg 12 inches back late 70s, early 80s. And we were approached by Bambaataa with two tapes. And these two tapes became the infamous Bosso Miko Fusion Beats and Flash to the Beat. So those who don't know about that, is Fusion Beats Bosso Miko 12 inch was a live recording of Flash and the Furious Five at Bronx River, which if you hear the drum program on the Steez by Gangstar, was sampling from that particular recording.
Yeah.
And then the B-side of all things was a pause tape done by Africa Islam, which featured the records of Dyke and the Blazers, Champ by the Mohawks, and James Brown's Get Up and Get Involved, which was the first time that we put multiple records on one side. So that and Paul Winley's Super Disco Breaks involved us to create the Octopus Breakbeats. Now, the Octopus Breakbeats was the first compilation that we put together. and I don't even speak for myself. I can speak for Lenny because Lenny's no longer with us. But I felt the concept of us putting these records out was, again, if you have a dish and you don't have all the ingredients, you can never recreate that dish the right way. So if you look at back in the 80s, when hip hop was being hip hop was being flourished in the corporate aspect, you notice that a lot of DJs in those days, instead of cutting up breakbeats because they really didn't know what the breakbeats were, the second generation, they were cutting up rap records like Love Rap, Feel the Heartbeat by Treacherous 3. They were cutting up Catch the Beat by T-Ski Valley, even Planet Rock. They were cutting up these records that were technically not breakbeats, but they had breakbeat-ish attributes to it. Because and at this day, you cannot tell me Love Rap is not a dope breakbeat, even though it's a rap record.
Right.
So we ended up creating these things, and me, I think the reason, again, I don't need to speak for myself. The reason I got heavily involved, and continued to be involved was as a DJ. I felt that it was my responsibility as a true member of the community, that we call hip hop, that we should be able to facilitate every aspect of the culture. B-boying was being facilitated and taken care of by the Rocksteady crew at that time, in every aspect. The MCs was being taken care of by the new generation. I think the DJ aspect was not being taken care of in the sense of they weren't using the proper tools. So I felt it was my duty to be involved with something that will facilitate the main important of what the culture was built upon, which is the breakbeat.
Right. Oh, wow. And you didn't realize the importance of it for years.
Fam, I could tell you honestly I didn't realize the true impact to when I came back to the game in 2009.
Wow.
Because I wasn't doing it for that reason. I wasn't looking for those things. I just felt. Remember, it was a DJ tool at first. We had no idea sampling was going to do what it did.
Right.
Remember when we introduced the breakbeats in '86? That was the same year that Molly Mall started chopping up individual drums.
Right.
So, but we was already getting calls for the breakbeats prior to that through a well-known breakbeat DJ spot called Music Factory on 42nd Street by Manny Stanley, that Stanley Plaster, that had the insight on every breakbeat in the world. So most DJs that were in the up and coming culture that knew that they would always go to him. Do you have any breakbeats? Because for whatever reason, a lot of the like Jam Master Jay used to go there very so often, and every DJ that was a true member of the community would still know that breakbeats are still important for whatever, either for the shows or whatever. They were still looking for either old breakbeats or newer copies of old breakbeats or whatever it was. So when we started recreating the breakbeats, it was in '85 when Lenny said, "I'm not gonna do bootlegs no more. I'm gonna do legitimate label," and that's when we created Street Beat Records. And Stanley said, "Well, if you're gonna recreate, please, every so often he used to come and ask me, do you have any breaks left?" But Lenny had overstock of the old stuff, but then we didn't have any more. So he said, if you're gonna release something, please release 1, 3, and volumes 1, 3, and 9, which were the biggest sellers as far as the octopus breakbeats. So if you notice, when we first came out with in '86, when we first came out with the Street Beat version of the breakbeats, you notice that was volumes 1, 3, and 9, and they all had a makeshift, what I call reflective of what hip hop was supposed to be represented, because at that time everything was big. Parliament Funkadelic and Soul Sonic Force were like the biggest influence. So if you notice, like Soul Sonic Force and a lot of these guys were very Parliament and Funkadelic, era of mindset with spaceships and stuff like that. So that's why if you notice, volumes 1, 3, and 9 had to do something with space. So if you look at the first one, had a white graffiti piece in space, and then we had the spaceman, flowing thing with the shuttle, and then we had the Martian at the last one. So again, we try to reflect the culture as best as we could in representing it in which way, but those 3 volumes were the highest selling for us. So that's why we we decided to bring those things out in '86.
So
It's a good segue for your question, Ultramag.
yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, rest in peace, Lenny Roberts. But how did you meet Lenny?
Lenny, we met back. We like met a couple of times in the sense before we started heavily working together. We met at Downstairs Records, which was the epicenter of breakbeats, and then we really connected at SOS Record Pool. So that's how we connected as knowing people. And then as far as getting to the breakbeats, it was just there was no one else that really knew that crossed his path that really knew breaks the way I knew breaks. Because again, I started DJing in '74. I started collecting hard body in '78, so I was always familiar with the breaks. So one day in conversation we were talking. He goes, "Oh, then you know about breaks." So he says, "I'm doing this X, Y, and Z." So and the rest you will see in the documentary. So that's why I won't get too deep in that. But we met. The common denominator was the break. So the solidification of our business partnerships flourished in SOS Record Pool.
Oh,
And you were going to ask about go ahead, your other question about the artwork.
yeah, I wanted to know. So yeah, the artwork is so iconic on the album covers. Like who did the artwork?
Well, that I could break down for you. Initially, again, we had when we came out with the street beat version of the break beats, we had hired a graphic artist. So he does volumes 1, 3, and 9. So if we see volumes 1, 3, and 9 in comparison to volume 12 and so on, they were graffiti based, but you could see the difference in artwork and texture, right? So the guy that did the stuff in on 1, 3, and 9, he was a regular graphic artist, not a graffiti artist, a graphic artist. So we were looking after we just bought 1, 3, and 9. We were looking for to continue doing full jackets or covers, what people call them, for for these particular albums. So we try using photography or whatever. So one day we in the record pool talking, and I don't know if people know Danny the Beat Man from Dusty Fingers.
Oh yeah.
He came um and he came into the conversation. So him coming into the conversation, we were talking, and we was like, "Yo, we looking for something." We said, "What you guys doing?" We're looking for Bob. He goes, "You want to use the same guy from before?" I said, "Nah," because I started my positioning in the what we call the elements of the culture in '72. I used to tag up and everything. So I was like, "Nah, I'm looking for someone. We're looking for something better to represent the culture that can really be not what we call a toy. That's what we call
Right.
graffiti writers back in the days, a toy." And then he goes, "I got my man. It's a graffiti. He writes and he's in Brooklyn. And his name is Ken Harris, Kev Harris." So I was like, "Yo, so bring him by." So Kev comes by, and Kev Harris. I mean, to this day, I still speak to him. He brings in this incredible piece of the skull. And when I look at the piece, I was just bugging out because people was already saying, that hip hop is dying, hip hop is dead, but the piece represents something different to me. So I was like, "Nah, we hip hop till we die," and this represents the whole thing in itself. So we made he already had most of the artwork in the way it was. We just made a few minor twitches and fixed and changed certain things, and that's what became the iconic skull picture of the artwork, which was incredible. Then after that, I I I know, I told him we should still remind people who we are because we came from doing these bootleg 45s. And I told him we should recreate the octopus, but not the same, quirky, comic booky, character, but have Kev do his own rendition of it. And Kev just killed it with, he made it a little more, current today, a little more what we consider true writers, character. And we got the octopus. And then after that, he would bring artwork. We were like, "Oh, not this and this," or we'll give him address for, an idea for this, like the coverage with the guys in front of Music Factory, and the other ones again that we will discuss. There was the stories behind that I want to say in the documentary, but he was one that he was God sent because he most definitely had the culture within him because he loved the music. He was getting into DJing, and he most definitely to this day is an incredible artist. So we because of Danny Dan from Dusty Fingers is how we connected with Kev Harris.
Yeah, shout out to Kev Harris, man. Wow.
He's nasty. He's today he's still an incredible artist.
Yeah.
He's and what's good about him is that he genuinely loves and is passionate about what he's been gifted with. So him being passionate in what he's gifted with is what made it possible for us to have a great synergy between us three, putting the whole package together.
Can you tell us about how you guys selected the breaks that you were going to use?
Well, I'm glad you said that. Okay, this I will divulge now. I mean, the initial inspiration was Bronx River. So whatever was popping in Bronx River in those days is what we put, especially the volumes 1, 3, and 9. So when we started doing the volumes 1, 3, and 9, and that was, I want to say, by 81, 82, we had created, and people can tell you, you can ask TR from Ultramagnetic, you can ask the one of DJs Jazzy G, you can ask Willie Dynamite, well known. He was with a group called Fascinating Force, and also he was one of the main record sellers and buyers at Downstairs Records. There was an infamous yellow pad that we had all the volumes at. So we had almost 50 volumes set up already by 1982.
Wow.
Jeez.
So this was beats that he knew, beats that I knew that he didn't know, and stuff that we felt was important to put, like all the James Brown stuff that we put on, the Frisco Disco, all these records, even like the Amen Brother was a huge record that Bam will play at Bronx River that would get the energy going up, So, if you look at the volume 1, there was 3 breaks that we really needed to put there because of the impact they had at Bronx River, which was Do the Funky Penguin, Mary, and the Amen Brother, right? And then and it was 4, and Daisy Lady. So all these records were huge records that made an impact. So our initial inspiration was always Bronx River. Then when the culture started developing and we started putting together, then it was beats that I had found or discovered, and there was some that he had found and discovered that we found out, that were known beats by a lot of people that would, Lenny, Lenny, he gravitated to the culture because he loved his music to begin with. Because Lenny was much older. Lenny could have easily been my father. He was at least 20 years my senior, without a doubt. So he just loved the music, and he had no idea that his music was being embraced by a younger generation. So when he got caught up in Bronx River, we just seen the love for this music. He said, I got this music at home. I have a lot of these records at home. So he was like, what's going on? So when he started seeing that, he saw that a lot of records were not available. So this is how we got the idea to create the first, the bootleg 12 inches. Like, we did the Apache and the Apache both on Guava and Arawak. We did the Big Beat with Cool Is Back on Eat My Beat Records. We did the Impeach the President and the Chinese Chicken, which I can guarantee 90% of people that had Impeach the President in the beginning of the records day got it from us because the record was extremely hard to find. It's still hard to find now, but it's extremely hard to find. So we put it on a 12-inch with Chinese Chicken on the B side. Then we had the Short Shot record, which had Long Red and Funky President on the other side. And then we had the Scratching with the one side, it's a 12-inch only. And then we had the Rockin' in the Pocket. So we were facilitating the culture with the records that a lot of diggers could not or were not able to find. So we were doing that. So again, it was the love for the music first and foremost. And then for me was facilitating the generation that was coming after us with his music.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what can you remember the first song that you may have heard that somebody put out that used one of your edits?
It still haunts me to this day. It Takes Two. I can definitively say it was taken from us because although other ones that had suspicions about that, but again, you really don't know.
Right.
It Takes Two. There was no doubt 100% that he took it from our record because we look at the intro. The intro is from Space Dust on the other side. No, that's one of the record.
Right.
And then the Ooh Yeah, there was nobody was cutting that record up like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Had actually edited it that way. So it became something that you could say, yo, check this out. That's no. And then when I heard Sick to Sanctify being sampled by KRS and My Philosophy, nobody knew about that record back in those days like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And then I knew when I heard the situation with Amen Brother afterwards with the Straight Outta Compton, and I knew it was taken from us because the record was technically a 45 and it was played at regular speed. It was a real fast record the way the dubstep, those records used. But we had the record at its entirety played the regular way, and then we stopped it, put it on 33, recorded it, stopped it, put it back on 45, and went. So if you listen to the record, the way it's on UBB is the rest of the song is played at regular speed except for the break. The break slows down.
Oh, yeah. You served it up, man. You gave it to him.
So those are the ones that I know for sure had 100% until I found out afterwards, that, we were, and again, this is my slogan, we were instrumental for keeping hip hop because everybody was sampling from us from the true sampling craze all the way to, I did a lecture online during COVID, and somebody said, but all your records are old. How can we even say it's relevant to this day? So I told him, have you heard Kanye West's Donda? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, Heaven or Hell? I said, we introduced that record to the culture. If it wasn't for us putting that record in the lexicon of music the way we did, that record would have never been done the way it was done.
Yep.
Yes.
As simple as that. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people, you got to understand, I'm not saying we made the game, but we helped change the game.
Oh,
Sure did. You sure did. You guys sure did.
I mean, it was literally a one-stop shop for producers,
No, and again, this is what there's a beautiful picture of Q-Tip in the studio going through one of our records, like spot by spot, going to see what he could find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people, it was twofold because one of the craziest stories. I don't know who you guys know who Jeff Barrows is. You know who Jeff Barrows is? He's the main producer of Portishead.
Oh, okay.
Portishead. So
yeah,
Jeff Barrows, when he was trying to get into production and DJing, he had a female DJ friend of his that said, you want to really get into good music and you want to production, then you have to listen to this. She gave him a tape of all the breaks of the UBB collection. And that's how he produced his first two albums.
Wow.
All the kicks and snares came out of those particular things. So fast forward to 2016, I think it was. I'm not checking. I'm a little old. I was about to leave the game. It was 2015 to 16. I was about to leave the game. So Peter Butter Wolf, came to me the year before and said, yo, I know people in the UK, overseas are looking, would like to book you. If I can get a situation happen, would you go? I was like, yeah, sure. So a year went by. I was about to leave the game, and he comes up and hits me up, and he tells me, yo, I got a couple of spots that I want to book you. And it was the V Festival out of London. Out of England. So we did the V Festival. So we found out I was going out there. So then Jeff Burrows gets wind of it. And he says, we would like to book your guys to open up Dismaland. And I'm like, what the heck is Dismaland? Dismaland was one of the last big showcases of art for the artist named Banksy.
Banksy, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Banksy, again, for Jeff Burrow said, me being a fan and Banksy knowing some of the work, we would like you to be the opening act at this thing. So
Wow.
the first Thursday, the biggest ticket in the world, I was the first performing act that opened up the this amusement park that was. I mean, if you got whoever got to, they got to see it, it was a big reality wake up call on life.
Wow.
Because he was saying what we put importance on. Like there was one picture that he showed. You know, you see a picture and you look at the cloud. It's like a picture of the sky, is the clouds, and then it starts pulling back, and it's actually the mushroom from the atomic bomb.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was like, you see and then there's one picture that's a whole bunch of kicks, sneakers, all. I mean, I feel guilty in saying this because I have a whole bunch of kicks. A whole bunch of kicks, right? A picture of a whole bunch of kicks. And then they show this pair of legs, and the legs start panning down, and this guy is strapping on two plastic bottles on his feet.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, son. So again,
Right.
but it was I got to open that, which I know after me came Premier and De La that performed there before. So it was just one of the benefits that I would say and blessings that I got from this particular. Then again, noticing the impact that we had, and it was because Jeff Burrow sampled his first two albums that he sampled. He sampled from stuff that we created.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Super dope. How when you were putting out the compilations, were you still actively DJing at the time?
Yeah, there's another thing. A lot of people know that again that they only see me as doing that. I had a partner in business at that time that was a world-renowned editor. His name is Chet Nunez. He edited everything from Madonna, Duran Duran, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Joyce Sims, EPMD, Nice and Smooth. He's the infamous guy that edited together the Bentronics, King of the Beats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
Him and I created a production company, which by our names, people may think this name, is bugged out, but we were the original Beat Junkies. We created Beat Junkie back in 1986. And you guys think first, and J Rock, he'll tell you that's where he got the name from. So, we were editing records. I mean, there was, a lot of house and freestyle records back in the day. So, I was DJing and producing back in those days. I have a few, underground records under my belt. We were very influential and instrumental in the success of the group called Tuna Room.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yes.
So it just like right now. The other day, I put up a video of a little girl dancing, but I have put the track that I had produced with Chep Correga called House Junkies, which is another name that has been floating around a couple of years. And we were the original House Junkies because we had a record under that name, the House Junkies, back when Warlock did this double compilation album called Warlock War Party. And again, we were doing that. And I edited a few records, like one of the records that you put up today, of all things. You can call Hank and confirm this. I edited that whole project for Son of Berserk. And now I'm gonna tell you something about that. Hank Shockley was the first to approach me because we were at an announcement for that label, for the Son of Berserk label, and he was in the process of editing the thing, the Soul Records.
Yeah.
And I forgot his name. I think the guy that was helping promote that guy named, I think his name was Tom. But he goes, "Well, this is Lou. He's worked with Chep Nunez, but he goes, Lou." And I said, "Yeah, Lou Flores." He goes, "Lou Flores from Ultimate Breaks and Beats." I was like, "Yeah, same Lou Flores." He goes, "Nah, can't believe it, blah, blah, blah." He says, "What are you doing tomorrow?" He said, "I got to work with you." I go, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Come to the studio." Go to Unique Studio, and I edited that Son of Berserk. So Hank was the first guy to recognize me and decide to feel compelled to reward me by letting me work on something that he worked on.
Yeah, that is. I consider that the last of the great Bomb Squad records. You know.
And when you put today, I said, I'm gonna tell him today, he's gonna bug out that I actually worked on that record.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so
edited
dope.
that.
I love that album. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah.
And and we both are mad because for whatever reason, I guess the cover was done and everything was done already, that I didn't get credit for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say because your name's not on it. Yeah. Did that happen a lot back then?
Well, no, there was depending on who's the who's in charge of the project. I mean, there's a few things like that occurred with us. Like if you look at the War Party, I get credit on the cover, but not credit on the label. I edited in my lifetime for Joy Sims with Chep. I didn't get credit for because it was already done. Again, there's a few things that occurred that way, but again, it was just the experience of the industry. Like right now, I'm going. I don't know how far back it goes with music, but I'm actually for the first time ever, I'm going to DJ in Miami, and I'm going to DJ with Merlin Bob. And Merlin Bob is one of the top. He's the one that hired Clark Kent to become A&R in Atlantic. He was the top radio DJs in New York back in the days, and he was, responsible for signing people, that we don't even know about. I know he was involved with the Troop project with the Gerald Albright, Dickie Howard. He's one of those guys, and I'm going to actually be thanks to Rich Medina, I'm going to be able to share the decks with this guy. Again, this is a legend in my era of music, and it's a legend too, should be for everybody because he made a big impact in music back in those days for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Fantastic, man.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back. Obviously, you see my name is Ultramag 7 because I'm a huge Ultramagnetic fan. But I wanted to go back to your ties with Ultra, and I heard that you used to produce for Tim Dog early on.
Yeah,
I did. I have 4 tracks slated for the album. Well, the bureaucracy of the business industry, I only got 1. But Trevor's like my brother. Trevor's like TR Love from Ultra is like my brother. So I was there when they did the Funk Your Head Up album. I know a lot of the beats we got because I met him through Lenny. Lenny was the guy that he knew Lenny before Lenny introduced me to Trevor. So I was always in the midst of rocking with them. When we went to Calabria, when they were doing when they got first signed to Mercury, so there was input. I remember being there, and again, I'm not saying. All I say is I was there because I don't like, when you say one wrong word, people take it the wrong way. So I say I was there when those albums were being created. Tim Dog, I met actually through. There's an author called The Black Dot that I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of the guys know. I know Chuck knows, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
KRL. But The Black Dot was one of my first MCs back in the days, and he was with a group called Tall, Dark, and Handsome that was on B-Boy Records back in the day.
Yeah.
So him and Tim Dog, they went to the same school with Sed G. They all went to, and Chris Lighty, they all went to Gompers High School. So I met Tim through there, and that's how that whole, I've been producing since '81. So Tim had heard some other beats that I did, and that's how we got connected with that.
Wow.
So yeah, we know each other for this is the late '80s. That's when mid to late '80s. Yeah, I know Trevor, TR, and those guys. So like I knew how crazy it is. I'm gonna tell you even crazier story. I knew. How can I say that without going crazy? Because again, I don't want to give too much information away.
Right.
Like Sed G, I knew for a long time. I knew Sed G. I met Sed G before I met Trevor, and that was like the beginning when he was working with Tim. So that was when Sed G only had the SP12, not the 1200.
Wow. Okay.
So in those days, there was a small circle. Even though it was a big city, there were small circles of people doing music back in those days. So.
Did you meet Paul C through Ultra?
I was just about to ask that.
Paul C, another situation. Chep and I were in the studio mixing something, and there's this guy named Juan that was down with the group called Raw Breed, which also features Marcus, which is Kool Keef's cousin, right? So I go to 1212. Now people had known that I've been in studios. You know, the engineers do the track sheet, and who's where the tracks are at, and who produced it, who's the client, and everything. So he knew Chef's name. He asked, "What's your name again?" I said, "Louis Flores." He goes, "Louis Flores." So he goes, "1 second." So he walks away, comes back with the octopus thing. He said, "Louis Flores," and I say, "Yeah." So right then and there, we was talking about that to the point that him and I used to have what we call SB1200 battles. Who can chop up a beat faster and cleaner in a matter of time? So we were in the midst of trying to create a production crew, which was supposed to be called PLC, and it was going to be Paul, Lou, and Chep, and it was going to be a production crew. But then Paul passed away first, and
Wow. Damn.
So there's I tell people it's more than breakbeats when it comes to me in certain situations.
Wow. I'm there's so little, there's not much information on Paul C, and he was so influential in the sound of hip hop. And anytime I get to talk to somebody that knew him or worked with him, I always like to ask them if they have any stories.
I will tell you this, and people will frown. I would say if Paul C would have continued to be alive, he would have had the same impact that Jake Dilla had.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, he made compression of hip hop drums an art. The true thump in hip hop, I think, came. Listen, really break down. There's two things. Sampling Molly Marr. I'm taking it from the Molly Marr, and I may get screamed on for this. Molly Marr created or was inspired, or whatever you want to call it, to split up the drums, right? The boom, the kick and snare. Paul C took that to the next level. He took the kick and snare with the fill and the decay afterwards. So if you want to hear what production really is, put your headphones on and listen to Give the Drummer Some.
Yeah.
So it's Paul C and Sed G. Don't leave Sed G out. These two guys had this different way of programming. And when you talk about layering, those two guys took it to the next level. And then Paul C and Ultramagnetic, to me, were the first to truly, fully produce a hip hop track. And I mean that they took the monotony out of records. They were putting what we called at that time left fields. Mm-hmm. They would come with a sample out of nowhere that they wasn't part of a record and take it back out just for a little blip or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then let's take it to a next level. How these guys are incredible. If you listen to a chorus line part 2, when each MC has a different beat at a different tempo, you tell me who changed the game with that, bro. Right. Pre-Pro Tools.
Yeah.
This has to do with creating separate sync on a tape and let it coincide the way it had to.
It's crazy.
So you're going from one speed to a hook at a one speed, another speed back to the hook at the same speed, from another speed to a hook the same speed, to a third hook, the third verse or a fourth verse. Come on, man, don't play.
Yeah.
Ultra.
Okay, they're very underrated as far as production in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
They don't get enough. They don't get enough credit for being trailblazers. And let me tell you something. Take it even crazier further. Even in videos, when you first saw motorcycles in videos, was when they did the 4 Horsemen.
2 records with checks.
Don't play with me.
That's my group. That's my group.
All right. Who's the first using motorcycles in videos?
And they had Kool Keith on the sidecar.
Don't play, B. I'm saying those guys. And Kool Keith's tone is, to me, is what, was end up helping shape a lot of people's tone in hip hop. I'm not gonna say leave it alone, but
yeah. So you were. So, I was gonna say real quick. You were there when they recorded "Funk Your Head Up," which I think is an extremely underrated record. That record gets a lot of shit.
I was there for a lot of sessions with both The first album, not as much. I knew about it, but the second, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The Mercury album and the Wild Pitch album, yes.
So I had heard that the Mercury album had gone through changes.
It
You
was
know,
first one person, then Lisa Cortez took over. Yeah, it was just they didn't know how to let those guys again. Like it happens in a lot of different circumstances in this culture. You don't let the artists be their artists. You think you have the game down pack, and you really don't. You know, these guys again. There was nobody that sounded like them. If you look at and never in the culture, either on the mic or on production for sure, nobody sounded like them.
yeah.
You know, they had their own look. They, you know, it was a nice combination. You know, one guy from Brooklyn, three guys from the Bronx. They, you know, it was just a whole different dynamic. They had, you know, Kool Keith and said totally different tones of vocals. Kool Keith was the most out of space rapper you ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
Seji was just his tone was just he had a nice, you know, strong tone. TR was like sprinkling whenever he got to rap. He was a sprinkling in that. Mo Love with his scratches. He's again, it was different dynamic. That crew was to me again one of the most underrated crews. And then they really created, you know, the layering in a certain way that a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, I compare them to, you know, to the Bomb Squad. If you look at production between those two groups, is very compatible. Even though it's different, but it's very compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Okay. Sorry, Ultra. Go ahead. Or you have a
No,
question?
I forgot I was going to say, but
Oh.
I love hearing that. Like I said, everything you're saying is why Ultramagnetic is my favorite group. Like so
They changed the game, bro. They changed it.
Yeah.
Think about this: the first record that Fresh and that Stretch and Bobbito played. What was it?
Ego Tripping.
There you
Ego
go.
Tripping. That's my favorite song. That's my favorite hip hop song.
Now listen, break down, freaking give the drummer some something.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Crazy.
They don't. To me, this is the way I like. You look at the dynamic, you know, of two rappers. You know, even though they were a group of four, but two rappers, they had a chemistry that was again way over people's heads. And like Cookie was saying, some other people were like, what the heck is he talking about?
Yeah.
To the point that he could reinvent himself 200 times and still be on Dr. Octagon, you know, Black Elvis, Rhythm X. I was there when Rhythm X was created, so you feel me?
Well, Doc, what I was going to say was when we were talking to the Butcher Brothers, is that they said that they had copies of the original Funk Your Head Up or whatever.
Oh, right.
But the funny thing is, and a lot of people don't. I mean, I'm sure you know, Lou, but if you listen to the intro of Funk Your Head Up, Said G is basically telling you that the album was changed. If you listen to the intro, he's telling you.
Yeah.
He's like, we had the record a certain way, but then, you know.
Because you got to think about it. This is, you know, the beginning of the culture changing. This is when the mood and the sonically was changing, and they wanted them as much as they felt their success was what it was. Again, it's like, you know, you have Joe Schmo from upstate New York trying to tell you what sounds good for X, Y, and Z. You know, and this is the problem with the culture that we have, and it's twofold. This is the labels, and then us as, you know, members and consumers. We tend to get caught up with different things. It's like I tell people all the time, and I'm probably one of the few OGs that doesn't have a problem with music per se as much as other people do. And they ask me why. I said, check this out, because music, you know, hip hop, music in general is never stops to, you know, to change or evolve, right? And you have different tastes like everything else. And I tell people at the time you look at the time when we were creating music, right? Let's say from the culture at the beginning, and everything was party rocking and good until people don't know. Then Mel changed that without people even knowing. And I mean, you guys know when he changed that? When Mel changed that without people even knowing?
A child is born with no state of mind. That.
But yeah, when did that come out?
That was on Super Rapping, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was like 70. Yeah,
Yeah.
79 is
The
yeah.
last rap in Super Rap in 1979, Mel changed
Yeah.
the dynamics and the way he should be speaking about things.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't catch on to that at all until '82 when he rewrapped the rhyme on the mix. So you have all these different things. So what I said back to my point, everybody was saying certain kind of rhymes until Mel said that, and then Cold Crush and Churchill C came into the fold. But before that, Busy Bee and Lovebug Starsky were like the major rappers that were really getting it. They were considered the main dudes in Hollywood, and those guys, Eddie Cheever, right? And those were what we consider crowd pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Now here comes Kumo D and swipes the floor with Busy Bee, right? So then you had Mo D when Mo D came out, and then they got signed to Sugar Hill. When he had Yes We Can, the lyrics in Yes We Can is something that's ridiculous, right? So he's really conscious. This is before Public Enemy and all these guys. So you have this guy, right? So then you got all that conscious stuff, and you still have the stuff. So then you have the mid '80s. You got the Run DMCs. Then you have the KRS, Rakim, Public Enemy. Then you have Kid and Play, Kwame, and Salt and Pepper. So then Kid and Play, Kwame, and Salt and Pepper that we consider happy rap, and then you have hardcore rap. We consider everybody else, right? But I tell this, in that whole thing, are all those people considered legends in our book right now?
It should be.
Yeah, they should be.
Oh, they're all considered legends. They all are under the legend or pioneer umbrella. You know who it is. So I say that now. Within the culture, there's always been good rap. There's always been whack rap.
Yeah.
There's always been a thing of musical. This is the thing. So why is it different now? I mean, we all say we like the date. I mean, even though there's more, it's a little lopsided, but because this is just the way things have transpired, which I won't get into because we're here for like 14 hours. But it is just the dynamic. You'll say, okay, we have the J. Cole's and the Kendricks, as being the so-called lyricists of the day, and then you have everybody else, and then people don't know, how good Little Baby is in the way he writes his lyrics. He has bars, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have, then you still have the Pushers, even the Pushers a little later, but still you have all these guys that do rock lyrics, and then you have the, Little Yachty's and all these other guys. At the end of the day, it's still what it is. It's like you couldn't tell us back in the days that we were whack because we were doing what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
The reason things is easy but I tell people there's two dynamics that affected that, but I only mention one. If you look, and I'm not trying to diss anyone, but if you look at the way we made records back in the days, right? To me, and I can say for me personally, I know, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of guys that were in that same fold, it was a labor of blood, sweat, and tears. And people say, "What do you mean by blood, sweat, and tears?" I said, "Okay, we had to work. I mean, sometimes we had to freaking grind our knuckles to make money, right? To get enough money to rent studio time."
Yeah.
Right. So would they say, what does that mean? I say studio time. So you think about this. You had to rent at least 10 hours to get your recording done. But that meant recording and production because we didn't have means to produce at home.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a drum machine at home. Right? We got 10 hours. But before you do that, you got to spend between $175 to $250 to buy a multi-track tape. Remind you haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
So you got $200. Let's say $200 on the tape. Let's say $50 an hour. So you have another $500. So I had $700 on just recording the record. Then you would have to come back for another 10 hours because it wasn't that easy to mix the record down, which meant you had to buy another one tape or two tapes that cost you $75, either a half-inch or a quarter-inch tape to mix it down.
Yep.
Right. So if you did that, then that means you have to get the record edited after that. So you got $700 plus another $500, which is $1,200. Let's say the editors make it even $1,500. That's just to record the record and mix the record. Right. Wow. So that's blood of freaking working your butt off, sweat because you had to work, and then tears because of the passion that you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And you could, I know I've made many records that when I heard the record out there, was the tears came out of my face. So you have that. So then you have to decide, this is for a single, mind you, this is for a single.
Yeah.
Am I going to have a generic cover or I'm going to have a picture cover? Let's go with the generic cover. But before you do that, you got to get the record mastered, which will cost you maybe, let's say, $300. So then we're talking about easily $1,800 just to get. Then you press up another 1,000 copies, let's say for $1,000. So that's almost $3,000 worth. Mind you, now the record hasn't been heard yet. So you go to every mom and pop store in that you know, and leave the record on consignment, and hope they take it on consignment, and then hope that one of the guys at the store decides to play your record to his customer base. So you invested $2,000 on, you don't know your record's gonna get heard yet. Now let's fast forward to, let's make it to the year 20. Let's say the beginning. Let's say 2015, right?
Okay, I found this on the web for 2015. Check it out.
Tell us, Siri.
I know, right? So 2015, you can go to eBay. You can buy a used MacBook Pro with GarageBand.
Yep.
You can make one record, right? Let's say you have a couple of 100 people that follow you throughout your social media. You can post a record, and let's say 50 people can hear that record and say it's dope, and you feel vindicated.
Yep.
Again, I'm not saying the passion is not there, but the means of making a record, while we feel sometimes that we have been through so much, and we can talk X amount of junk, is because we put some real, elbow grease in making these records.
Yeah.
So this is what I say to people. At the end of the day, you can't tell me nothing about what it is to grind in the studio and make a record and have a record sell because of my involvement in the record.
Yeah. Yep.
I know the UEB compilation alone sold a couple of 100,000 solid records. What is the stream worth to people in reality as a sale? How many streams does it take to consider one sale? And again, not dissing anyone, I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah.
The life we live in, there's a slight, discrepancy in why we feel the way we feel in certain things. Now, I don't mind. I mean, I love technology. I use Serato Studio to the T. People see me putting beats up all the time. Do I get the same? I get the same feel because I know what I put into it. That I love it, makes it easier for me to do a beat. Oh yes, 100%. You give me Serato Studio right now, I'll take it over anything because one, I don't play any true instruments myself except for percussion. So if I need a bass line, I don't have to worry it being on key. I put a bass, I got a sample going, I put the bass in, it automatically puts it in key for me. All I do is play the notes. Come on, son, don't play with me. So this is the reason why I know a lot of us from my first generation era gets, their underwears in a bunch because it isn't as easy for us to do it at that time as it is now. But it doesn't negate, and I tell people this all the time, you cannot tell me that, again, I don't know what Little Yachty is or what he isn't, but I don't know what kind of passion he has for the culture.
Right.
I'm not in his heart. So how can I say automatically that my passion is more in depth than his?
Right. And that makes sense. That makes all the sense in the world. Yeah.
So again, we sometimes we gotta get off our high horse and say, yo, check this out. We were looked upon before by our parents saying that music is not music. That's mumbo jumbo. You don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's like I tell people do. I said, having the whole era about mumble rap, right? Well, they don't say nothing. They say mumble. I said, really? Okay. So how many lyrics do you know James Brown said that you don't know what he said? Exactly. Or let's take it further. Let's go to Das Effect. Bump, skibbity bump, like I said.
Right.
Shit, they're mainstream pop songs that people don't know they have words to.
I know, but I'm just saying when we go to as far as hip hop, I would just
I know. I
These
know.
are something. Don't do that. Don't. Let's not. This is the way I was told a long time ago. When you point one finger, three point back at you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So,
Hey, Lou, I wanted to ask. One of my favorite crews. I see you roll with them. How did you get linked up with Hyro?
well, I gotta be thankful again. I always connect the dots, and I say this. And people they get mad at me when I say it. I gotta thank my boy Eddie B. Swift first and foremost.
Oh.
Eddie B. Swift, he's the one that more or less started the ball rolling, and then my man DJ Clear, my boy Baron Lopez. These are the guys that were always wanted me to get back in the game. So Eddie B. Swift, DJ Clear, Baron Lopez, and then Kenny Dope for being inquisitive about the breakbeats, which led to the conversation with Eddie B. Swift. And then, a lot of different connecting dots. Then from Kenny Dope to DJ Scratch, Spinner, the Beat Miners, to the Beat Junkies, to my man Buys One, to I met Peanut Butter Wolf. And meeting Peanut Butter Wolf is where I got to meet Opio, Soul Submission. So me meeting Opio, it was like a little before one of Biggie's anniversaries, and I wanted to do a tribute to Biggie. So I did a track with one of Biggie's acapellas, but it was an acapella that wasn't full. It wasn't a full acapella.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Oh, can you rock with this?" So this freaking genius dude recorded his verse intertwined in spaces that Biggie had left, and it sounded like they were both in the studio at the same time.
Wow.
So I'm like, yo, he said, we got to do a project. So we're doing a project, which I released 2 songs so far, and then COVID put a stop to it and everything. So the first song you guys can look for it it should be on all streaming platforms. And again, it got lost in the shuffle with COVID. And it's a song called You Ain't Ready. And check this out. It features Opio, right? It features Havoc from Mobb Deep.
Mm-hmm.
It features Eric Sermon from EPMD.
Damn.
And it features a snippet of a song that I was doing with Sean Price on the hook.
Wow.
And then it features well-known comedian that's also been a DJ before he was a comedian, Russell Peters, on the cuts.
Right. On the cuts?
On the cuts.
So You Ain't Ready. It's a chance to look for it. Not for nothing, but the record is dope. The track is crazy. The raps are bananas. And the cuts are crazy. So think about that. Look at that lineup. Opio, Sean Price, Havoc, Eric Sermon, and Russell Peters.
Wow.
Yep.
First cut. The second cut I released from the same project is Opio, Pep Love, and then featuring this is a crazy story. I was on IG one time right before Thanksgiving, and on my feed, Pharoah Monch pops up singing. So I was like, yo, check this out. So I put a beat behind it. It sounded crazy. So this is something that I gotta play for you because it's something hopefully you'll resonate. Again, people don't understand the creative juices of a producer when something really goes the way it's supposed to.
By the way, yeah, gotta love the cover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's got
octopus.
The octopus.
So I chopped up this vocal that he did on this thing, and I'm like, yo. So when I chopped it up, I said, yo, can I use it? He goes, yo, go ahead, use this. So that's the start of the second single. And then one of the most hardcore street corner raps that I've ever heard, as far as you want to talk about like street corner, day in the life kind of verses over an incredible, what I call true hip hop dancing beat.
Yeah. Wow.
So when I met with these guys, when I did the project with Opio, then we were doing that. So they were going to celebrate their 25th year anniversary. This was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked what I think about DJing for them for their tour. So I was like, to me, it was like a no brainer because I've always respected them as MCs. They're incredible, and I'm not saying this because I rock with them. They are probably the best on stage performers that you will see as a group.
They're
The only other people that I put with them as far as performing on the stage is KRS, Buster, and Missy.
Yeah.
So the dynamic, these guys remind me of Cold Crush. Imagine if Cold Crush was to evolve throughout the years and polish it. That's Social Mischief.
Yeah.
I got to see them live last year. They came to Akron, Ohio. Yeah. Yeah.
That was Souls or that was Hyro?
It was Souls and Casual.
That was Hyro. So you saw Hyro.
Yeah, but Dell wasn't there.
No, I said that was a Hyro. I said if you was to see, that was a Hyro show. If you had to see a Soul show, we'll hopefully have to be there again this year. Just let me know, okay. and I got you.
Okay,
that's what it was. It's something. Yeah. These guys are incredible. So it was a no-brainer for me to do with them.
He's right because I've seen just a soul show, and then I've seen the show with the whole Hyro with Dell, Casual.
Where you look at?
I saw the soul show in Philly. It was at this was 7, 8 some years ago, but it was in Philly.
Yeah. Where you at now? Where you located at now?
Oh, I'm in Jersey.
You're in Jersey? Well, if you get to come to either the Philly or the New York show, let me know. You got to see the show. This show is ridiculous, son. And again, and I'm saying not tooting my own horn, but we have a different dynamic than most people. So it's myself and a producer by the name of The Architect. Believe it or not, his name is I forgot the name he went to before, but he produced tracks for Coolio and he produced Panic Asia and stuff like that. Okay. So he's produced some of the Hyro guys also. So we bring a whole different dynamic to the show. Mm-hmm. So there's a seasoning of what he does as a producer. There's a seasoning of what I do as a producer / party DJ that's coming to the dynamic of this particular show. Mm-hmm. So it's something that, again, not because I'm on it, but there aren't many guys that can rock with us. If it's us 6 on a regular, forget about the pyrotechnics and lights. I ain't messing. Nobody touching them. Sorry, we ain't having them.
I hear that.
Yep.
I mean that humbly, seriously. And I mean these guys are that dopes on stage. Mm-hmm. The few guys that I know that don't be cupping them like the few guys that I know that know how to share that stage when somebody's rocking.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because it takes a certain amount of respect and dynamic for you to make that stage full, and they just the diction is clear. They interact with the crowd, they interact with each other, and it's just a whole different dynamic, bro. And they sound clear, and they sound like mature versions of the records because they know when they recorded the way they were supposed to record. So it just takes a whole different gambit to doing the right thing. I'm sorry. No, so I connected with them, and in connecting with them, then I started producing. I finished producing Opio. I'm producing Tajay. I produced a track for Dell. I've produced a couple of tracks for Casual. I'm trying to get a track finished done, hopefully with A+, and and to the point that I'm in tour with these guys now. We did 42 cities in the UK and Europe, and then we're gonna do another 51, at least 51 here. I think by the time we finish, we were setting to do 93, but I think we're gonna end up in the 120 something by the time we finish.
Wow. I almost wore my Souls of Mischief shirt. I swear, I put it on. I said, "Nah, take that off." I swear, I almost wore my Souls of Mischief shirt.
I'm in Hyro Studio right now. As you see the Hyro back on my right shoulder, you see
I saw it. Yeah.
logo?
Yeah. I saw the logo.
You're lucky I can't pull out my Souls tape. Today's the day I can't. Actually, I got Dell on the wall over here. I'm not gonna turn around, but I'm a big Hyro fan. Trust me.
I can't reach it.
And if you ever get a chance to visit here when they do Hyro Day, that's a whole different experience.
Oh yeah, the Hyro Day. That's definitely something I want to get to at some point.
That I think is a must. And the reason I say that the most is because this is the only festival that I know in the world that was created within hip hop that's still ran by the people that are in hip hop.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Actually, going back, one of the best shows that I ever went to, but it was when Souls of Mischief did the album with Adrian Young. So I saw them perform with Venice Dawn,
wow.
And then at this show, I met Tragedy, I met Pharaoh Monch, I met Curious. It was like the best, and then Ali Shaheed Muhammad was DJing. It was like the best hip hop show for $10. It was in Manhattan. It was for $10, like the best show.
So if you know though, if you saw them do that album, there's a song called The Last Act.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta see them perform this song now. So
wow.
Let me tell you something.
Lou, we gonna talk.
These guys, again, I didn't say this. I'm a hip hop snob. I take a lot. A lot of people have to do a lot to impress me, and there's a lot that it takes to impress me. Like I'm even critical of myself that to that point. These guys are the best that I've seen.
Yeah,
and I've been in this game, a couple of days.
Yeah, been around for a minute. Been around for a minute or two.
Again, to me, the best thing I've seen was Cold Crush in my life. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Treasure Street may say what they say. Fantastic may say what they want to say. Even Furious may say what they want to say. Cold Crush, and then I like Macedon Committee. But now, Social Missions are my thing. And I know you're going to pull out the
you got me.
I got the book. The one that plays the. Can you open it?
Yeah, that's the one that was.
It used to. It doesn't play anymore. Oh. Yep.
Damn, that's dope.
I guess the battery's dying.
Yeah.
Oh well.
No, but yeah, they almost definitely. Again, they became something for me that, it took me back to the days of when I was growing up because that's what I started with MCs and being a DJ in that fold. And to me, I think it loses when. And again, I don't have nothing against bands. I don't have nothing against stuff like that. But I think it loses a lot when you take that DJ out of the dynamic of a performance.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mind you, I wish I could do vinyl, but in this day and age, it's virtually impossible. But I still use 2 turntables and a mixer. As much as I don't mind using drum machines or computers or whatever, I still the thing of me actually throwing the record in, it gives that beautiful human touch to a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Do you have going back to the breaks? Do you have a favorite or a go-to?
See, when I go to breaks, people always get surprised when I say this is my favorite break. My favorite break of all time is "You Like It Too" by the Funkadelics. Me, because I like percussion. Is just as a DJ, you had to know how to cut it. It wasn't too long and it wasn't too short, and there was some different dynamics of way that you can. There's different dynamics how you can cut it that give it different. Textures to it, the little that's in the vocal in the track. It is a different break, and again, it's that beginning to roll or turn around, whichever you want to call it in the beginning. It just and then when it goes to the bass line, before it goes into the song that you get to cut it after. To me, it's one of the most, and it's a nice tempo. It's not really slow, it's not really fast, so that's like my all-time. People think it's not. No, it's not impeach. No, it's not think. It's not a substitution. It's not Big Beat. You like it too. It's my favorite breakbeat of all time.
Nah, that's a dope one. So yeah, I appreciate
So
that.
And that's why we put it at volume 2 because I wanted to be there as because it wasn't even that popular at that time, but it was starting to bubble up when I fought for it to be on volume 2. Yeah.
Are there any producers, hip hop or otherwise, that inspire you?
Oh, man. I mean, Prince was one of the guys that really took me to a whole different dynamic of putting things. I'm gonna name people that's gonna bug you out. I'm a big fan of Kenny Dope, and I'm not talking about his house side either. I'm talking about his hip hop, regular music.
Shit.
Oh
Crazy.
my lord!
Yep.
Ultramagnetic as a collective.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, Palsy. I love. Again, people don't even. Again, I'm different. The Beat Junkies as a whole in the production side, people don't give enough credit. I mean, from Babu production, J Rocks, Redmatic, they got some dope stuff. The guys from out here, the Hyro as a collective also. I mean, I was talking about these guys today. The genius of 92 to Infinity is a record. If you look at that record, if you look at the record as the record by itself, you're like, how the heck did freaking A+ come out with this?
Yeah.
And then one of the guys that truly inspires me, and he's one of my best friends in the world, is Lord Finesse. Lord Finesse he's a terror. He's one of them guys that, I mean, if you guys don't get a chance to listen to what he did with the Motown State of Mind thing, if you could listen to Motown State of Mind. Yeah, but listen, if you want to look at his production as a producer, listen to the Motown State of Mind. It's on all the platforms. Listen to what he did with the Bodge, the Switch, the freaking Marvin Gaye. Oh Lord, this kid, man, he's so different. Like him and Kenny are two guys that I feel do not get enough credit in their production savviness. Again, these are guys that most definitely have impressed me in a lot of different ways. And a lot of different looks also. DJ Scratch. Look at the Wheel of Fortune record. Oh my God, this record just by Busta Rhymes, it just takes me completely to a whole different dynamic. Again, not taking away from the Jay Dillas or the Premier.
Right.
No.
All the Diamond D's, all these guys. But me, if I wanna, this is the way I say, if I'm looking for a true boom bap record that represents the culture to its fullest, and I had to choose a separate producer on the hip hop side, more than likely it would be Lord Finesse. If I'm looking for let's say an R&B, whole record that can give me, or just a regular song to the fullest, the first one I would look will be Kenny Dope. And that thing. And then if I had a choice to pick somebody to produce, two producers to produce an album that had a little of everything, would be Kenny Dope and Lord Finesse. If I had that kind of choice.
Yeah.
Dope.
Some guys, to me, again, I know them well. I admire them as people. They're brothers to me. They're both great DJs too, but on the production side, they are so underrated. So underrated. And and if I really want some hard edge, and this is what will get to me, I really want some hard edge, original boom bap stuff, that thing, then I would tell Seth and Trev, yo, give me ultrasound from 80s and early 90s. I don't want to hear ultra. I want to give me what you would do back in those days. With then it's a whole different dynamic. And then mentions that I can't forget to mention. You got the Easy Mo Bees, which is, oh my Lord. Yeah. Buck Wiles, another guy that I admire also. He's a quiet, silent. These are two silent assassins that you don't get enough.
Yep.
Thing. And me, And then if I had a choice to who will help mix my records in that situation, there's two guys that I would choose. I would choose Dr. Dre, one guy, and the next guy I would use is Young Guru.
Oh, yeah.
Young Guru in that sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as this thing. And then, and then if I want to get really, really funky, then me personally, I would like to get, which I have the honor to work with one. I want to work with the rest if I can. I would love to do something with the Bounce Squad.
Oh, yeah.
The Bounce Squad. I mean, I got to work with one of the records that I got coming out was mixed by Hank, and I'm like, this guy. I mean, when I was with Chuck at the NAMM thing, he said that Hank has the ear of God.
Yeah.
Hank, an incredible. Let me tell you something. He was talking to the engineer when we was doing the session, and he goes, "Yeah, if you put, this one at 5 o'clock and this one at 7 o'clock, and then he's again. I'm just hearing the clock because I'm like, he's talking about different EQs. He's talking about like the SSL thing here, and I'm like, and then I'm hearing the 808 coming. I'm like, what the heck? There's minor tweaks. I know there's minor tweaks. There's nothing really crazy.
Yeah.
But again, it's too much for me. It's just if I had again with a choice, my top three to go to would probably be Bounce Squad, Kenny Dope, and Lord Finesse. That would be mine. And then production, then let that all those tracks be mixed by Young Guru.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy to me. He makes one record for me, and I'm like, yo. He's that. Think about it. He helped shape the '90s sonics to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean, again, like I said, I'm a snob. I'm a geek when it comes to this stuff.
That's why we wanted to talk to you, Lou. That's why you're here.
You're talking to a couple of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then if we want to go to mixing on a board itself, then I have to take it to my man Noricado. Noricado is another people.
Oh yeah.
Noricado, oh Lord mercy, this guy is an incredible engineer, producer. I mean, he does a lot of house stuff now, but as an engineer, incredible. Noricado. Then I will have to use also. This is going to be behind all you guys' time. Dave Algren. Dave Algren is the guy that was responsible for giving what they call the Curtis Blow sound for the Fat Boys. He's the guy that really did that. He was the main engineer at Quad back in the 80s. So these are the guys. That's the guy that I would use, Dave Algren. And then, if we come out taking it back to the SSL. Well, look, open that up. Look at the credits as engineer.
I don't know if it has it inside because you know what? Hold up. Yeah.
Quad Studio, Dave Algren.
Nah, see this on these cassettes, they don't go that deep on the liner notes. Yeah, it doesn't have it in here.
Check out the other one. I'm like I said, he's the guy. He was the guy that used to freaking terrorize. Matter of fact, he's the one that produced 4000 for the Figures 4.
Oh.
And produced Larry for Grandmaster Flash. When they broke out.
Wait, I might be able to grab that. Wait a minute, hang on.
Yep. Dave Algren.
Did he do did he do Fearless Freestyle? That's one of my favorite.
He engineered that, but I know he co-produced F4000.
Okay. Because DLB kills that. Oh my God, I love that song.
What do you have in your hand now?
Yeah.
Oh, you got Problems of the World today.
Yeah.
Look, as engineer Dave Algren.
F4000 on the flip.
What does it say?
Yeah. Yep. Engineer Dave Algren. Yep.
That's dope.
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Well,
F4000 is the B side.
Yeah. Yep. From what I know, he's the one that produced that record because he knew how to use the Fairlight to his fullest. He was the first guy that knew to use the Fairlight.
Wow.
Yeah, so it became something that we would use Again, like I did. It's funny because I did a record with the Black Dot before it was called Cool D. And we went in there. All we had is freaking. We went in. We had the beat. It was only a DMX drum machine. Just the beat, DMX drum machine. We came back. This thing had horns, had strings. And I'm like, what the heck? How did he come up? And the thing he would, with the way the cadences were going, he wrote to that, and I was like, what?
Wow.
Okay, now I just went over 90% of your audience is over their heads. They have no idea what I'm talking about. But
nah, man.
Nah, you right on time.
Yeah, the heads will love it. The heads in here, they will love it. Yep.
And if not, they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn.
That's right. They gotta learn somehow.
That's Mr. Biden. It's the way how we teach them. And that's another thing I have a big gripe. You can tell someone. It's like I tell this whole thing with this kid, John, the kid, a basketball player. What's his name?
John Morant.
John Morant, right? I'm saying he needs to do is somebody needs to take him to AI's house, Allen Iverson's house, because Allen Iverson went through a similar thing in the beginning and said, yo, my dude, I was who you are right now, son. Yep. Let me talk to you in the language you think. And this is the thing, the reason I'm able to do lectures and stuff, like I had a lecture a few years ago in San Jose, and I'm talking to these kids and they're like this. They don't want to hear about the blah blah. So then they actually had a setup with 4 different rooms with Pro Tools, Logic, and the beginning of Ableton. Mm-hmm. And I'm breaking down to them and said, "This is what you can do when you really put yourself out the box and start trying to create what somebody else has created." Yeah. Like stop using just stock sounds. You see how I can make this 808 if I add the SSL compressor or the SSL channel and drop the 250K, drop it here and boost up here, see how it sounds like gives you your own there, and you see how you don't have to have a full range of the snare, the 808 snare. You can make it sound your own. If you put the lexicon reverb on this, so you can just slightly tune it differently, and then. By the time I left, it was like 60 kids, and I'm leaving, and all 60 kids follow me outside, and they want to keep my expression, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Again, it's the dynamic that you bring to these kids. Is what you do. Is how you approach their way of the attention. Something happened to me. I was in Stanford. I mean, I was with what's the guy's name? He's the teacher that he wrote a book. I forgot the permanent name, but 150 kids, same thing. They were like, "But why this?" And I learned that when you're trying to teach a generation that's not yours, the best thing to do is just give them a synopsis, maybe 15 minutes of synopsis of who and what you're there for, and open the floor to them. It's what they really want to know. Yeah. It's like I told them, I've been DJ for 200 years, and I told them, and we were talking, and I was like, yeah, they were asking about, Tyler, the Creator and our future, and at that time was Designer and Drake, and I'm like, yeah, I said, let me tell you something. I may not be a fan of Designer as a rapper, but at that time, I said, when you throw on Panda in a club, yeah, so nothing hits harder than that Panda record, right? So I'm like, yeah. And they're looking at me like, yeah, I said, that's why I'm up to me. At the end of the day, I take myself out of the equation when I'm rocking at any kind of function, because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about that crowd out there. I will season, of course, my texture of things, but I will always be a pleaser to that crowd that's out there. Because without that crowd, then not to this anything, but that makes me not the person that you are paying money to see. Yeah, right. Yep. That's what it breaks down. So, yeah, I'm the type of person that I say that I have three things when I'm a DJ, when I'm DJing on any particular thing. One, I'm going to make your feet hurt because I'm gonna keep you dancing. Two, I'm gonna make your clothes soaked because you're gonna be soaking, be sweaty because you're gonna be dancing and you'll be all sweated up. And then three, I'm gonna leave you with a memory. One, if you saw me before, you came to see me again, and you haven't seen me before, the first time, the next time I'm in your area, you can come and see me again. And that's how I got my reputation, and that's how I get booked the way I get booked, because I have a consciousness of who am I and what my audience is about. And I think that's the way we should approach everything. And if we want to explain something to someone about our era of the culture, is how you approach it. You get more with honey than you get.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Lou, thank you so much for your time.
No, it's all good, brother. Like I said, sometimes I bug out, so I'm not understanding that long, but again, it all depends on the question you ask that it takes me down this rabbit hole.
Thank you.
Nah, man, that was fantastic.
Yes.
We appreciate your time. And real quick, I still owe you records. I gotta drop those 245s in the mail for you.
Man, I wish I would have had them this week. I would have paid them in Miami.
I slipped my mind, and I just remembered earlier today. I'm like, I gotta send those to Lou. So I will get those in the mail for you. But thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, good, man. Well, thank Chuck. He's the one that made this happen, bro.
Yeah. I always do. And he would have been here, but he's in London right now. So
I saw he was away. He was with Hurricane, one of my other buddies up there. So
yep. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you, Lou, and safe travels to Miami.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Be blessed. That's what's up.
All right. Take care.
Peace. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Breakbeat Lou.
Yo, that was a history lesson, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, man. That was great.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
Jennifer Jenny. It's all right. We know
Jenny,
you're
what's happening?
Yep. Thanks for dropping in the comments.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, that was great shit.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's a lot of information. Whew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Lot to soak up and parse through, and
hip hop history.
There. Yeah, man. It's great to hear, because we only have these records, and again, it's great to hear, okay, yeah, I was there. I was there when they were recording "Funk Your Head Up," and
it's great to hear it from somebody who was there. You're not hearing, secondhand or whatever. It's like, yeah, I was there in those sessions.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Dope stuff. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Yep.
On the live stream, everybody watching in the replay. And I can't forget to say that It's C-Doc Again is brought to you by the Spit Slam Record Label Group.
The Spit Slam Record Label Group, a Chuck D situation. Catch us on your favorite streaming platform, on Bandcamp, or visit our official web store at spitslamrecords.com. All releases are available digitally or on CD, with select titles available on vinyl and cassette. The Spit Slam Record Label Group. Throwback to the future sound.
Yes, indeed. And I also wanted to give a quick shout out. Hey!
There she goes.
There she is.
There's our girl.
Our lady from the heyday of K-Day. J.O.J.
Exactly.
How you doing,
That would
homie?
be me.
What's cracking?
I'm hanging in there.
All right. That's all you can do.
Yep.
That's all I can do.
That's what we want to hear. I was going to say shout out to Easy Mo B that Lou had mentioned, because on Friday, Spit Slam Record Label Group has a new release coming, a re-release of Easy Mo B's instrumental album, And You Don't Stop.
Okay.
That is coming to streaming platforms Friday, and compact disc for the first time ever.
Awesome.
Yes. Also, you can catch me and Chuck D and Flatline, who's not here tonight, every Friday for the And You Don't Stop radio show, where I play the Spit Slam Jam of the Week. And this week's Spit Slam Jam of the Week is another new joint that we just dropped last week, I think it was, which would be DJ M-Rock's new maxi single, Don't Mess with the Baldies, featuring Sticky Fingers from Onyx and Gambit, who's another one who's released music with us. So check those out. That's streaming everywhere now. And you can catch these two, Jennifer and Ultramag, every Sunday for the mixtape with DJ Soulbuck, who I saw was in the comments earlier. I keep pointing the wrong way. So. and they play the music for the guest that we have coming up next week. And Jennifer, who would that be?
That would be the one and only Dazzy D.
Dazzy D.
There you go.
We're
Next
taking
week.
it.
Take it to the west side. Oh, yeah. So, yes. So, everyone, please join us next week as we welcome Dazzy D to the show. Join Ultramag, Jennifer, and Soulbuck on Sunday to check out the music of Dazzy D. And because I totally slipped my mind last week, I didn't load up the trailer, but you can go find it. I forgot to mention that my new film that I directed, Locked In, is now playing on Tubi for free. So if you want to watch a lean, mean 79-minute thriller about 4 gals that get trapped in a basement, go check out Locked In, now playing on Tubi from HWIC Filmworks, directed by yours truly, produced by my cousin Johnny Filmworks, written by Jillian Holt, our screenwriter extraordinaire, and starring the amazingly talented Buddy Vaughn, among others. So yes, please go check that out. It costs you nothing, and will hopefully make us 59 cents if you watch it. Or something like that. It might not even be that much, but yes, we would appreciate it.
And we promise it has nothing to do with R. Kelly.
Yes, it has nothing to do with R. Kelly. Although my last movie, Scam Likely, has an R. Kelly joke in it that I wrote. So there's an R. Kelly gag in Scam Likely.
Yeah, no.
I hope it's a good taste.
It's a totally horrible, terrible
I had to go there when you said 4 women who were locked in the basement. Well,
yeah, no, it's not that.
Yeah,
it's a mystery. They wake up, they have no memory of how they got there or who they are, and and they have to figure out why they're there and how to get out. So,
spoiler alert. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, that's the synopses. So the rest of it, I'm not gonna mouth shut. You guys gotta check it out.
We have a new fan in the comments.
Oh,
Lisa Cotton.
I saw that.
Actually, accidentally got here and loving the vibe. Shall be scheduling. Okay, well, yes, join us.
Thank you.
And also check out the other episodes. We're on episode. What is it?
81.
81. Yes.
Jeez.
So there are 80 other episodes of our particular brand of nonsense.
There are.
Yes. Exactly. No, but we've had a lot of great guests, and we have more goodies to come.
And we'll continue to have more great guests.
Yes, exactly. Because that's what we try to do here.
Yeah.
So, well, Jennifer, thanks for popping in. Good to see your face.
I had to do what I could.
No, it's great. Thank you. Ultramag, as always. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you being here. Everybody watching live, everybody watching on the replay. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. And we will see you next week on another episode of It's CDOC again.